For those of you that have been watching for a while, you probably know that one of my first YouTube videos was me talking about how I had lost my job and how much money I had lost and what that meant for me and why I had decided to try and make content full time. And what's interesting is I'm now like 6 months out of that process. So I've been making content daily for 6 months. There's been lots of successes, there's been lots of things to learn, there's been lots of issues, there's been lots of highlights. It's been a complete roller coaster, but I've really loved being creative for like a solid 6 months. What I said in that video is that part of the reason that I was able to commit to being a full-time content creator for at least 6 months was that as part of losing my job, I had a 6-month notice period. So that meant the company that I was employed by had to pay me for the next 6 months at least, and that I was going to be getting a little bit of redundancy money, not a huge amount of money. I think it's about £3,000 or something like that. That might extend that 6 months to 7 or 8 months. I'm now at the end of that process. My employment with that business has officially ended. I'm waiting for my final bit of money, which should be the end of this month, and I'm at this turning point where it's very much like I'm getting towards a point where I need to start thinking about how I make money. Now, I believe that over time I will make money from content, but as I said in my last video, like that can't be the focus of art. If I'm going into any piece of creativity with the thought that I need this to make cash, it is gonna pollute that in ways that I don't want it to be polluted. I'm not against making money. I'm very much for making money. I just believe, for me, the art should come first. But I need money to survive. I have responsibilities. I have children. I have a house. I have responsibilities that I need to keep up with. I'm very lucky that my wife is super supportive of what I'm doing, and she does have a traditional full-time job and is willing to pick up a lot of slack. And I'm unbelievably grateful for the person that she is and for her creating an environment where I'm able to do what I'm doing. But I don't want to be destitute. It's all well and good being a struggling artist and a starving artist, and I think there's some grist to be got from that. There's some energy to be got from that will help me create. But I also want to make sure that my family is supported and that I'm looking after the financial side of my well-being. What's interesting is recently a couple of things have kind of manifested themselves that have afforded me to make a little bit of money from a small amount of time, and that's basically in the remit of what I used to do for my old company, which is like marketing and consulting companies on how they can better market themselves. But there's a couple of interesting things about this, and I promise you I am getting to a point here. The first one is at the point that I was able to take on work started appearing for me. So I've been, working with a couple of brands since my employment ended with my last company and helping them out. And actually a lot of the stuff that I've learned over the past 6 months is coming into play. I'm not just talking about the stuff that I was 6 months ago. I'm talking about new and interesting things that I think will help these brands. The other thing that happened was somebody approached me with the kind of message saying, have you ever thought about starting your own business? Is this something you'd be interested in? Now, normally I ignore these types of messages, right? In my position in my last job, I had hundreds of messages a week of people trying to sell me stuff. And it was very much them sending kind of cold outreach, which is their job, but they're just trying to sell. They're just trying to sell. That's all they're trying to do. And 99.9% of the time, it wasn't a good fit for me. This guy was actually sent to me by an old friend of mine. So I thought, at a minimum, I'd have the conversation and see what it was all about. I was kind of hesitant to start with because I was aware that what this guy did was essentially what my old company did. and I have no want really to get back into that space in any significant way. I'd love to help brands out. I'd love to, help people on a one-to-one basis, but I'm not sure that I want to get back into the space of like running an agency. And that's fundamentally what this guy wanted to do. Anyway, I thought over the proposal that he gave me, which was a good proposal, and I decided that it wasn't a good fit for me, and messaged him to thank him for his time, and said that I appreciated what he was doing, etc., etc. And his reply instantly made me know I'd made the right decision. And one of the key things in his reply was that he said he was offering someone a shortcut. It's very tempting, these offers, because there is an opportunity to make a significant amount of money there. Over the next 5-6 years, through lots of sacrifices, through lots of hard work, there is the potential that it could make me millions of pounds. That's very similar to the promise that was made to me at my last company, that that over a period of time we could build the business up, and I would have equity in it, and that I would have the opportunity to make a significant amount of money. That never panned out, and I think I was really only in that role because of the money. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. I don't want to be involved in anything if the only thing I'm looking from it is money. It needs to be greater than that for me. It needs to be bigger than that. And in his reply, amongst other things, he had basically said that he was looking to offer someone a shortcut, and did I know anyone else who'd want to become a millionaire in the next 5 or 6 years? And I just immediately realised that I'd made the right decision by not going with that opportunity. It felt like it was a temptation. It felt like it was sent to me as a temptation to say, are you really dedicated to what it is you're saying you're dedicated to? In my last video, I talked about not worrying about followers, not worrying about views, not worrying about the money side of it, that I should just be creating in order to create. There was a big flash of lightning in the distance over there, then you can't see it, but there was a big flash of lightning. And that's what I need to do. I need to create because I want to create. Anything that I make, anything that I build, anything that I produce needs to be absolutely filled with passion and love and creativity, and not with the thought in my head that the reason I'm doing this is because I'm making money. I'm sitting here right now, leant against a tree, overlooking a beautiful English countryside view. It's a very, very sunny and bright day, but there was just a huge flash of lightning in the distance there. There has been some rumblings of thunder. The rain is definitely going to come. It's definitely going to come. I didn't think I was going to get to film on this little trip, because the rain is definitely going to come at some point. It started as soon as I stepped out of my car, and I was, at first I was disappointed, but then I was trying to think, you know what, actually just enjoy the walk. Just come out here and enjoy the walk, and you can film later, you can film anytime, you can film at home. You've got a beautiful cabin set up for this. I need to make sure that I'm committing myself to things, and there are other ways that I can make money. Just an example, right? This is the privileged position that I'm in. The brand that I helped the other day, I did a couple of pieces of work for this brand. I'm not going to mention who they are, I'm not going to mention what they're about, because it's kind of a separate side. It's not really involved in this side of what I'm doing, but I did two things for her. One, I interviewed a candidate she was thinking about hiring. It was about 45 minutes to an hour's worth of work. And then the other side is I spent about an hour or so looking over at analytics on her website, and I spent an hour or so looking over her site, and then we spent an hour on a call, talking through what I recommended she go and do for her business. And those two pieces of work there took me probably between 2 and 4 hours total, and I earned about £300 from that. Now that's not a lot on its own, but when you think about the amount of time that's been actually put into that, it's a significant amount of money based on the amount of time. Bear in mind, there's 15 years worth of experience behind that allows me to be able to have a conversation for a couple of hours and get paid that amount of money. But the impact that will have on her business, and the reason I went into this and the reason I had the conversation is because, you know, I genuinely felt like I could help her. It wasn't about the money, which is helpful and nice, but it was about how I can help that business. That's what I need to be doing across all areas of my life, right? Is figuring out what do I have to offer for these people, not what can I take from them. And it's such a fine line, and it's so easy to just slip into going, you know, what do I get out of this? Oh, by the way, if you are watching this and you're this far through, one of the things that I'm trying to do is build up a bigger community of people right here on YouTube. So if you can, please do hit that subscribe button now. It costs you nothing, but helps me a huge amount in terms of getting out in front of more people. The other thing that came up for me the other day, which is something that I'd heard about years ago, but hasn't come up again since, is, you know, when you're walking along a path and you'll see a path that's been created by where people walk rather than the path that was put there originally by the designers of the space. So you could be walking along a path and then there's like a worn out mud path across a field because people take that route because it's more convenient, it's more direct, whatever that might be. Those are called like desire lines, they're called desire paths. So instead of walking where it's intended for people to walk, people take the most direct route, or they take the most convenient route, or they take the route that they most want to take. And when enough people do that, it creates these unintended paths through spaces. And when I'm creating content in whatever space that is, whether it's the gaming space, whether it's this more kind of informal blog space, whether it's, you know, on creativity, whatever I'm talking about, when I'm creating a video, I think what I need to be trying to discover is not what are other people doing, what's trending, but what is missing from that space. What are people really looking for that isn't being produced in any significant way? That's a difficult thing, and I don't know, part of that will come from research and part of it will come from me, you know, looking into what exists out there, but the other part of it is just me being in that community, being in that space and going, what is missing? What do I wish I had when I started out in this space? What is missing for people in each one of these spaces, and am I in a position to be able to provide that to them? I think that's the discovering what desire people have for content and then producing it. And I don't think it's just a case of asking people like, what do you want to see? There's that famous quote from Henry Ford where he said before the car was invented, if he'd have asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses, not cars. So sometimes it's about creating something wholly new that people haven't asked for, that people don't know yet, that people don't realise that they need. And that is going to come with testing, and that's what my focus, I think, over the next couple of months is going to be, is really pushing the boundaries of the type of content I produce and being just fucking braver, because I've lacked bravery. I'm getting better. I'm doing stuff like this which I never would have done before. I never would have come out with my camera and set it up. When I was setting up, actually, two guys came over and started chatting with me, and there's a girl that I just found on TikTok. I can't remember her full name, Sophie something. I'll put a tag here. And she just has absolutely blown my mind, because this girl is absolutely fearless. She's not fearless, she's full of fear, but she has put herself in a position where she's like, I am going to conquer these fears, I'm going to make myself immune to rejection. And she just goes around and does stuff in public that everyone else would find embarrassing. She sings, she dances, she goes and asks people to do things, she asks people to film videos of her and does like funny, stupid videos in front of people, and it's all to get herself into a position where she's building confidence and she's becoming immune to rejection. And I was just so inspired by that, because I have so much fear around recording stuff in public, and that's part of the reason that I come to like spaces like this, where it's, you know, it's fairly remote. There's not many people about. If people are about, they're kind of just walking past in the background. But she just goes out into town centres and just does these things that would make me shrink into a tiny ball of anxiety, and she just goes out and does them. And it really inspired me to be like, you know what, if she can do that, then I can do that for sure. I don't know why I've built up this embarrassment for this stuff, really. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. The point is, I need to be braver, I need to experiment more, and I need to make more. And believe me, no matter what anyone tells you, I promise you, there are absolutely no shortcuts. You have to do the work. You have to do the work, and you have to know what it is that you're trying to achieve. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you on the next one.